It was an early morning in Canterbury. Fleur de Lis was sitting in her kitchen to have some breakfast when she heard a knock on the door. She opens the door, and there's a mail pony. She thanks for the mail pony for the mail and went back inside. And she looks through the mail and she noticed it's a letter. And when she opens it and reads, she discovered it was written by her old friend Tropical Dream. Tropical Dream and Fleur de Lis have been friends since they were 10. Tropical Dream lived in Manhattan, and they hadn't even seen each other for at least a couple of months, since Fleur de Lis has been very busy with her work for Fancy Pants as his assistant. But now, Tropical Dream had written to Fleur de Lis that she is coming back to Pune the Canterlot for a visit for about a week. And since she was in town, she would love to spend time with her old friend and to catch up what has been happening over since last time they saw each other. And when Fleur de Lis read that, she was smiling. She was really had hoped to see her friend soon enough. But now when she's coming to the pond to Canterlot, she couldn't wait. So she decided to wait at the train station in 2 days when Tropical Dream was supposed to arrive. And when she got to work, she mentioned this to Fancy Pants, her boss, about this, and he was just happy to see that she had a smile on her face, and he was happy to hear that she had gone to meet an old friend. And she asked if she can leave work maybe 2 hours earlier than she normally do. And Fancy Pants had no problems with her to leave work 2 hours earlier. So within the next 2 days, she was working as normal. She was still excited to meet her old friend. When the day came when she was about to go to the train station, she left her 2 hours earlier as she had been promised. At the train station, she was a bit excited to announce for this is going to be the very first time she's going to meet her old friend in a while. She had no idea what Tropical Dream had been up to for the past few months since the last time they saw each other. Since everything that Fleur de Lis is has a very busy work sometimes she works at even late in the nighttime. So she was really happy to be able to meet her old friend again. Fleur de Lis walked up to her friend and she was so happy to see her again after a while. They even gave each other a hug and said that they have really missed each other so much. Then they decided to go to this local cafe nearby to have something to eat, since it was only 2 p.m. And while they were waiting for their order, Tropical Dream and Fleur de Lis start talking, and Tropical Dream asked Fleur de Lis how things has been for her ever since last time they saw each other. Fleur de Lis said that things has been quite busy for since she had been working for Fancy Pants, but she loved to work. She loved that the paid is well paid, and she loved to do things for her. Like she even loved to read or help around in the office for some of the fashion designs, and even to arrange some of the upcoming fashion shows in Manhattan, Trottingham, or many places and else. But then Tropical Dream asked how the things, but if she and Fancy Pants are dating, which made her laugh and said, "No, they aren't even dating. They're just close friends." Since Fancy Pants is already dating somebody else at the time, and she was just happy to see that her boss is dating, but in fact, she wasn't even seeing any particular pony at the moment. After all, sometimes she works quite late, sometimes to midnight to around 2 a.m. in the morning, and that can sometimes even stress out a relationship. And she preferred sometimes to be single, after all, but she do go on casual dates from time to time when she had time for it. But for most of the time, she doesn't have time for any serious long-term relationship, at least for a moment. But Fleur de Lis did mention that She would sometimes wish she may have could find a long-term relationship with some pony, but for the time being, she preferred to be as she does as before. And then she asked Tropical Dream how things had been for her back home though. And Tropical Dream said things has been quite well for her. She loves to work, she loves to travel, and even though she had us a great time, she had also well paid job and she just have a great time. She started to mention that she has been seeing this stallion for at least about a couple of weeks. And from what she believes, it might be getting serious. But at least, perhaps, this could be a long-term relationship. And Fleur de Lis smiled and said that she's happy to see that her friend had found some pony that maybe she can settle down with at some point. Even though Tropical Dream said, well, she hopes maybe one day to be able to do so with this stallion. But since they has only been dating for at least a couple of weeks, she wanted to at least wait to see if it could be that long term and that serious love. And Feudally said she understood. Then the waiter came out with their food and they start talking some more about their some of their old memories and from their old childhood and like that. They laughed about some of their parents and some of their fun memories they had together. After about an hour, they decided to go back to Fiordali's home, where Tropical Dream had decided to stay after Fiordali's had offered to stay there. There, they talked more about things that has been going on for Tropical Dream, how she met how she met her current boyfriend, how he's her, and she actually started liking him more and more for each single day. Even though Fiordali's herself was getting a little bit jealous that her friend had found some pony to be with. But since she had decided to wait with dating, and for at least a serious dating, for that point. That evening, both Tropical Dream and Fleur were still talking about some of their old memories and they just have enjoyed the time there together. Then Tropical Dream asked if she had any plans for tomorrow, if she wanted to spend some time. But Fleur said she still had to go to work as normal. But she will end her time around her shift around 4 p.m., which give them enough time to spend some time afterwards. So Tropical Dream said that will be fine. She will be traveling around in town by herself. So maybe visit some other old friends who lives in town still. Both agreed on that. Around 10 p.m., both decided to go to bed since they were getting tired. After it has been a very long day. But the next day, while the Tropical Dream was around in town, Fiorelise was at work and she's having a good work day. She talked to fancy pants and was planning for some upcoming fashion show that was going to take place in Manhattan over the next month. She just had a great time and was really happy that Tropical Dream had returned to the Canterlot for at least for about a week. She was really excited to at least that she came back for a visit. She really cared about her old friend. To her, she was like a sister to her. And after all, they cared about each other ever since they were 10 years old. Had been through so much. They had been watching the whole world growing all around them when they was just young. Back then, they didn't care much about the world itself, or only they cared about their friendship and their own adventures they had. But after a while, though, she started to care about Tropical Dream as a sister. She even called her sister once, and that somehow stuck with Tropical Dream and calling her her own sister. And for that moment, in those years ago, Fleur de Lis and Tropical Dream was just happy to be calling each other as sisters. And later, around 4 p.m., Tropical Dream was waiting outside at Fleur de Lis' work, and she was surprised to see her there, but she was at least happy to see that her was waiting for her. But then Fleur de Lis said that she needs to go buy some food for dinner tonight. So they went to this local store, and even there they small talked about how their day had been so far, and just having a small talk. Even back at Fleur de Lis' home, they were just having a great time. Still talked about all the memories and all kinds of things they really liked. Even though when Fleur de Lis did ask Tropical Dream more about her boyfriend, how it's like how he been treating her, and so more like a more random things like she wanted to know more about him. But she was just telling her how they met, how he's been treating her. Like he has been treating her like a princess, more or less to say. And that made her both laugh and said, "That sounds like a gentle cold," said Fiordelise. She was just excited to hear that friend had finally found some pony that would treat her really well and with respect. And of course, during this time, Fiordelise and Tropical Dream was spending a lot more time while she was in her town, well, when Tropical Dream was in town. But unfortunately, as they all suspected, the time flashed so fast by them. After only they felt that she arrived only about a day earlier, about but then the week passed and it went so fast for them. Even though Tropical Dream had invited Fiordelise to come over to see her back home. Even though Fiordelise accepted the offer, but she didn't know exactly when she would be able to do so since constant of work. Since her work made her work sometimes late and has long weekdays, and sometimes she even worked on the weekends. So she had no idea when she would be able to do some work or at least take a time off. Even when then Tropical Dream asked her if she would maybe ask her boss Fancy Pants if he would be allowing her to take some time off from work. He could always hire another secretary assistant for only temporarily. Even though Fiordelise said that she would think about it, she was not even sure if she would be allowed to take a time off from her work, but she would try to at least talk to Fancy Pants about this. So they both could said goodbye there at the train station a couple of days later when it was time to go. Even after Blanche left, Fiordelise thought about this invitation and maybe thought maybe it was could be a good time. After all, she had been working so much for the past few weeks, and she thought to herself maybe she could deserve some break, maybe a couple of days, maybe a week. But she wasn't even sure if Fancy Pants would agree to let her take a time off, and especially how long it would allow her to take it. But she decided to ask him about the next day at work. And the next day, when she got to work, she went straight to his office, knocked on the door, and asked if he can have a moment to talk, which he said yes. Then she made this case, telling him that since she had been working quite a lot these few weeks, and also times even spent overtime at her work for at least several weeks for almost 2 weeks in a row, and she felt maybe that she needs some at least time off from work, maybe a couple of days, maybe a week. Even though when she asked him if it was possible for her to take a break from work, maybe for a couple of days or a week. At first, it was silent when he saw her when she proposed this idea. But he smiled and said, ever since she had been working so well for the past few weeks, and especially have worked overtime for 2 weeks in a row, so he actually agreed to let her take a 1 week time off from work. And he can always hire another assistant for time being, which didn't was much a problem for him. She was smiling and thought maybe that's a great idea. But she decided to continue to work at normal end at the end of the week to Friday when she will decide to write a letter to say to a friend Tropical Dream and informing her she will go into Manhattan to spend time with her for the whole week. The rest of the week, though, Fleur de Lis was super excited. She was super excited. For the very first time in a while, she will be able to take some time off, something that she wanted and needed. She had almost worked herself to the just like burned out. She had worked so much, and she had literally almost burned out herself in the constant work. But when she wrote to Tropical Dream about it, and she answered, she was looking forward to see her friend, even they had just seen each other for about a week ago. But on Friday, Elise was so happy for Elise having a 1 week of vacation time, and she didn't spend any much time for that because she went straight home. She had only packed a backpack where she a bag where she was going to Manhattan to spend time with her old friend. She then went straight to the train station and bought a ticket and went on the train to Manhattan. On her way, though, she was really excited and she somehow fallen asleep on a train, but awakened when the train had arrived at the station. Unfortunately, Tropical Dream wasn't at the station. She first thought maybe she was going to be there, but unfortunately, she had some obstacle in the way. But she didn't only knew where Tropical Dream lived, so she had no problem to find the location. When she got there, Tropical Dream was happy to see her friend and just let her inside, and both had a great time. For the first evening, Tropical Dream cooked Furily's favorite food, which she loved the idea. Even though she had no way of expecting to be cooked her favorite food that same day. But but though, she released appreciative thought that she made it. She had such a great time. Tropical Dream took with Furily's rest of the week around the town to different locations to see to some art museums and like that, and had the restaurants. Just even went some window shopping and stuff like that. But still, the moments they had each other was a great time. They really loved to spend time with each other. Even then, even at that point, on the third day staying there, Tropical Dream actually introduced Fiordalace to her own boyfriend. She actually did like him. He was very well behaved, well mannered, and he had even a funny personality of himself. She was actually very happy that Fiordalace that her that Tropical Dream had found her dream boyfriend. But after a while, though, something was going on between Tropical Dream and her boyfriend. They were talking about maybe getting serious about getting married, maybe within a year. But when she told that to Fiordalice, she was really surprised. But Fiordalice was at least happy to know that maybe they had to wait for a year. But unfortunately, who knows? To at least Fiordalice hopes that Tropical Dream's hope to be get married within a year or so was something that she thought maybe was a bit too early, but it is Tropical Dream's life and her own life. She couldn't even interfere or tell what she can do or not, or what she can do or can't do. But she told her if they want to wait a year or maybe more, that's up to them. And both agreed to do so. On the rest of the week, both Tropical Dream and Fiordalice had such a great time. They visited some old places that in town which Fiordalice had been before had been to before. But unfortunately, even Fiordalice's time in Manhattan was short. Even despite it was a week, but it felt like the whole week went so fast for her. But at least she was happy to be able to spend more time with her friend. But she promised they will be able to see each other even some more within a month, since she was going to plan for an upcoming fashion show in Manhattan about in a month. And Tropical Dream said she was looking forward to it. So for the next couple of weeks afterwards, they can have still kept in constant talk with each other by mail, by letters, and from what it seems from it, they actually had a great time, and they both couldn't even wait to see each other within the next month. When that day came, Tropical Dream had given a VIP pass by Fleur de Lis so that she can be in the backstage or even among the audience, so that she can be able to watch this fashion show herself. Even though, even though Tropical Dream wasn't even much for fashion, but she actually enjoyed to see someone in the room. Still, even after all this, even after the fashion show was over, Fleur de Lis and Tropical Dream was able to spend some time afterwards. Since Fleur de Lis was given some time off after this good performance, she was given at least about a week time off from her fancy pants, and she decided to spend that time in Manhattan with Tropical Dream. They had such great time. And during this time though, they spent a lot of time going to museums and they spent some time with her boyfriend and just having such great time. They even went bowling, which was something both Fearless and Tropical Dream shared a very common interest. Both of them was quite good at it. But then something did happen. After about 2 years, one day Fearless received a letter from Tropical Dream. But this was in fact not as the ordinary letter that she usually gets from her. It was in fact an invitation to Tropical Dream's wedding. And it turned out, just only about 2 months earlier, Tropical Dream's boyfriend, proposed to her on their date. And, and she said yes. She had invited Tropical Fiordelise to her wedding and to be her bridesmaid, which Fiordelise cried and accepted to be the role as the bridesmaid. Only about a few months later, in Manhattan, Fiordelise was standing by Tropical Dream's side at the wedding, and she was so happy for her friend. She can even notice how nervous she was at the time. She was actually shaking, even though despite after all this, when she was standing there with her fiance, and even after this, both were really happy to have getting married to one they loved the most of all. Even Fiordelise was super excited to see her friend finally getting married, but it was something else because around the time Tropical Dream and her husband revealed something else. Just at the party itself, when they revealed that they were going expecting to have a baby within the next few months. That was a big surprise, and both of them had even talked, and they had asked Fiordelise if she wanted to be the baby's godmother. Fiordelise cried of happy tears, and she said yes, of course. And she couldn't wait. So, within the next few months, Turbo Dream and her husband had a baby daughter. And when Fiordelise saw their daughter and her goddaughter, she couldn't be more happy for her old friend. Even Fiordelise promised she will teach her goddaughter, some of the stories that she and Tropical Dream had talked about, and some old games that they played when they were young, to teach her goddaughter about that. Even maybe train her, maybe teach her about some pull pranks against her parents or friends, which Tropical Dream's husband used to laugh and said, hopefully not too bad pranks. I don't want to wake up in the morning to have my vein dyed in a different color. His mother laughed. That made both Tropical Dream and Fleur de Lis happy and smiled as well. And even after all this, how was their relationship between Tropical Dream and Fleur de Lis after that she was getting married and now she has a daughter? Well, the bond between them and each other was really strong and only getting stronger now when Tropical Dream has his own daughter, which now is Fleur de Lis' goddaughter. She couldn't be happier to have her best friend to be in her bridesmaid at her wedding and now to be the godmother to her own daughter. What else could she have asked for a much better friend, and especially from her best true friend? And this is how Fiordelise and Tropical Dream became true friends. The